says we're live, but I know there's always a little bit of a delay. So let's
I
just,
think we're live.
yeah?
Yes.
Okay. Hello, everybody. We are live. I brought some friends with me. Today, we're going to be talking about how to dive into your human design and gene key profile. What's it like? What can be uncovered through people who have actually experienced it. So I have with me, obviously Bella's here. So me and Bella from Unlock Your Design. We have Simone. Simone, say hi. We have Dona. We have Deanna.
Hi.
And we have Janik.
Hi.
And these four people have been through, are actually in our inner circle right now, but have also been diving into gene keys and human design with us and without us. They have traversed the activation sequence with us and without us. And we're actually all moving into the Venus sequence together. So the purpose of us coming on today is to talk about what it's like to use these systems to uncover and understand yourself. We're in the fourth archetype right now. We're in the transit of the fourth gene key, the fourth human design gate, and this is all about understanding. And it goes from the frequency of intolerance to understanding to forgiveness. And if you can start understanding yourself more and who you are and come into your naturalness, you're going to start forgiving yourself yourself and others for where you didn't show up as yourself, where you didn't know who you are, where you didn't accept who you were, and for other people not really understanding you either. So the more you can dive into your gene key and human design profile, the closer you get towards this understanding of who you were designed to be. So I guess the first question I have for each of you guys, ladies and gentlemen, would be how did you get introduced to this, and what piqued your curiosity about these systems? So popcorn style, whoever wants to go first and dive into the question.
Okay, I'll go.
Deanna first.
So how I discovered the gene keys in human design was I was actually working with a mentor, Sarah Ashley, and she had just been introduced to it, I think by Paige Affiliator. And yeah, so she just kind of told me a little bit about it. I was like, wow, like I can discover what my genius is. Like I want to know what my purpose is. So I was very excited with that. And the thing that really, really got me super excited about it was being like in the health and wellness industry for quite some time. I started to sort of dive into the actual like genes, and I got like my genes read so I can know exactly what genes like are active, which ones are mutated, and all that kind of stuff, because I was trying to figure out how to fix my health. And so I was so excited with that, and I actually wanted to create a program with a naturopath of being able to pull people's profiles with their genes and then dive into that and come up with like customized programs for like workouts and nutritions and supplementation. That never actually happened. And then I found the gene keys and I was like, oh, okay, this is why I'm so into it, because it's very connected, but on such a different aspect, which was amazing. And I think that's kind of the gene keys is where it starts. You know, it's like great to know how your genes are expressed, but there's so much more underneath it. So that's why I was like so excited about it.
Well, thanks for sharing that. What was going on health-wise that you thought that maybe you can dive into human design or gene keys that they might hold some kind of solution for you?
Well, a couple of years before finding it, I had complete adrenal burnout and I suffered from multiple concussions. So I literally had absolutely no energy, tons of pain in my body, and just was not healthy at all. And I couldn't figure out how to fix myself. I was eating healthy. Like, I mean, being in the health and wellness industry, I knew what supplements to take. I knew how to work out. I knew how to eat healthy, but it wasn't making a difference for me. So it was like, there's something I'm not getting. And like the mental side of it was so important for me because I'm always in my head, with which all of you guys probably know, like I'm stuck in my head in my not self. and realizing that my thoughts were actually what was making me sick. So having the gene keys was really amazing, because then I could go in and be like, what are these shadow patterns that I keep connecting with that were keeping me sick? What are the thought patterns that I kept having? And then also the cool thing was having the organs that were connected to the actual shadows was so helpful for me, because I could see, oh, there's like adrenals are huge for me, kidney energy. And if you drain all your kidney energy, then like things aren't going to function properly. Um, yeah, those were the biggest ones for me. And I could see it rooted in the patterns in my life and the shadows in my life, and how I was just like literally like killing myself with my thoughts and my patterns. And it was time, like I had to do something about it. I didn't have a choice, because I wasn't able to live.
Do you feel complete like a lot different now after working with it and pulling your DNA and doing different stuff? How do you feel now compared to then?
Um, I feel like my energy and vitality is coming back. Um, but I'm still stepping into the shadow patterns a little bit too much. And it's like I know what's happening, but I haven't fully like embodied the gifts. So my body hasn't fully healed, because I know if you're living by your not self, like your body's not able to heal properly. So now it's like unlocking that magic that lives within me, that I can actually heal myself. So it comes with like the line one, like the self empowerment. Until you can empower yourself, like you're not going to be able to allow your body to actually feel like safe and grounded and be able to heal.
Mm.
So I'm at that space where I'm like, okay, I know how to empower myself. I just have to do it, and then my body will heal completely.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I am like from starting, like, yeah, my health has been a lot better, and I haven't been so strict with like the working out, the nutrition, and the supplements, versus like before it was like 100% of the time, and I was still not very healthy. And now it's just like I kind of like eat whatever I want. I don't really work out very much, and my health is better than it was before I started the Gene Keys.
Kudos. I think that's even though you feel like maybe you don't have a lot of energy that you would like, I think that there are improvements, and thank you so much for sharing,
You're
Deanna.
welcome.
Who would like to chat next about your experience with the Gene Keys and human design? What drew you there? Donna?
No, I can't believe the similarities I have with Deanna. I didn't know this. Wow. Okay. So, at the age of 50, I came down with fibromyalgia very quickly, very severely, and I was able to heal myself on my own. I felt so empowered, but I knew that emotionally and mentally, I still had a lot of places to go. I wasn't totally healed. I still had adrenal fatigue. I still had these things that were lingering. So I read about the gene keys in a comment on a blog, and it intrigued me. I went to do my profile. Talk about an immediate activation. I saw my chart and I knew it was me immediately. I started reading the Gene Keys book, and I felt like it was a language that I've learned in another lifetime. It all felt so familiar to me. I was so excited, so excited. So, um, one big theme, and Bella just posted something this morning that said forgiveness is freedom. Not only, there's so many gifts that you read about in the Gene Keys, but one thing for me is what I was able to let go of. The things I've been dragging of conditioning and imprinting from my family or environment, of things I felt guilty about. Why do I have these frequencies and I don't know what to do with them? Why all these whys? And you read things that you're able to let go of, and there's so much freedom. And so I felt my health again, Deanna, same thing. Um, this vitality come to me, this empowerment. Some of it just from letting go. So my activation sequence, I did it once on my own, but it wasn't until I did it in a group, the inner circle, that I had no idea that sharing and listening to everybody what that would do for me. I'm a very private person and I have a profile that needs a lot of alone time. So I didn't think I'd enjoy the group as much and enjoy the separate conversations. It's like again a whole nother world for me that I love. Now I can't imagine like doing the Venus sequence on my own. I have to have people. I learned so much from everyone. So, and then I have this investigator part of me. Once I got interested in human design, it was so Gene Keys has been about 2.5, 3 years. Once I waited a while until I went into human design, but I really needed to know where Gene Keys came from, and so I loved human design. And then, of course, it was a mystery to me how to combine them. And again, the inner circle helped me there. So. Just in a few months, I can't believe how far I've come. Again, having this group is really what did it for me. So
we're so lucky to have you too. And actually, Bella and I did a reading with Donna. I don't even know, but if you go on our YouTube and go into the live reading, she's one of the ones in there that did that. And so that was before she joined, and then now Donna's in there, and she's learning how to do a lot of stuff within human designs and merging them together and doing relationship readings and like completely taking off. I feel like I felt the same way when I looked at the systems, like, oh, I know them. I feel like this is my language. And then you just have to do the investigating and all that, and then start practicing with it. Like Deanna was saying, you're seeking understanding, you're seeking to solve the problem, but when you fixate too much on the shadows too, then you don't make any initiative to shift into anything else. In any system, you can stay in the shadow, you can stay in, I don't understand enough, I don't know enough, I don't this and that. But if you never take the initiative to either heal yourself or make a business out of it or do readings or whatever, if you don't take initiative with it, then you stay a student forever. And I think that I'm still a student. You can be a student and incorporate it into your life and embody it into you, or embody it, not into you, but embody it.
right.
Yeah, I feel like it started for me with Facebook, and first like, oh, can I write, can I answer this, right? And then from there, and I mean with you, Donna, I just felt when you started to ask us like, how do I use this with my clients, like for me and Ashley, it's taken it also to a completely different level, because there is something where I work with somebody one-on-one, like I invest my soul in a way, but there is also really cool on kind of just investing, you know, what I have learned, and to be able to even feel it myself, like, oh wow. Because when you ask me something about how to do something, I realize I have so much experience, and that never really comes up when I work like with somebody one-on-one or when I do a reading with Ashley. So that's really, I've only done it with other people in other languages, but for me that has been like one of the richest experience really that has come out of the inner circle and of the reading with you, to see like, wow, there is no limit for where it can go, because we can always expand and expand and expand.
Well, I have more things to ask you, so I'm going to get those questions together. I, perfect. Oh, I love it. I love it. Thank
Thanks for sharing, Donna.
you.
So we have two projectors on the call. We have Simone and we have Janik. So Janik, would you like to share? Would you like Simone to share first? I would. No, Janik, can you go? I think Simone. Oh, your face are so
Simone,
funny.
ladies first if you want to, if you feel like it.
I would love to hear yours, because I haven't heard your origin story yet. I feel like
Okay. Okay, I'll share. For me, last year, well, for me, I've known human design for quite a while. Like, I think I discovered it in 2016 or something, or 50. I don't know, but it never, like, it kind of clicked, and I kind of knew, hey, I'm a projector, but I didn't really dive into it. And last year I had a really, really intense year. And I experienced like a major burnout. And just before the burnout, really, like before I collapsed, I kind of got introduced to human design again, because of a person brought it up, a friend back then brought it up. And then it just kind of ignited something. And like in projector style, I just like kind of like dove right into it and really researched the heck out of it, because I was what I loved about it was that it gave me, in a way, the permission to forgive myself in a way, or to accept who I was. Like, for example, like I always wanted to be more like tougher and more manly, and like all the things that I wasn't, and all the things that maybe a projector energy isn't so much. And reading about my profile and seeing how undefined and open my profile was, and a lot of what I saw about the mechanics just really gave me permission to be like, yep, okay, like let's dive into that. Because there's like, the thing that really clicked for me was, I will never be happy and fulfilled and enriched and lit up trying to be someone else. So I was like really on the path of like saying, like, let's put like a stake in the ground, be like, I'm gonna be myself, and undo and uncover all of where I didn't want to be myself. And I found it super interesting. And somehow in that deep research, I came across the gene keys, and it was super confusing. I saw that profile and I was like, what the hell is that? Like all these lines and numbers, and I'm like, I was totally lost. And unlike like Donna and Deanna, like it didn't click for me. I was like, man, what is this? And so I researched explanations for how the profile works, and I came across a video that Ashley made, um, where you kind of explained how the whole thing works. So I kind of got it, and then I kind of got more into it and stuff. And then I joined Unlock Your Design, and like really started learning about all of it. And what I've found really interesting was that we also in the inner circle, we really do combine both. And I feel, for me, like there's so much magic in combining both, because through the human design I can see like the mechanics and the not self of the mechanics, and then through the gene keys profile, it's like, it's a path, and it's a unlocking of the gates in the human design profile, which I feel like in human design there's no real like focus on how can you unlock it. It's more like, that's the gate and you have it. um and I really love this practical aspect of the gene keys profile, in a way, when I'm when I have like a conflict or anything, or I don't feel well, I just can I can almost all the time I can like point it back. Before our call, I was like taking a walk, and I was like kind of feeling I don't know, and and I noticed that I'm in anxiety, and I'm a 4/6. I'm a 4/6 line, and so the sentence basically for the fourth line is, break out of anxiety by coming back to the heart, and basically relax and soften, and don't take the whole things like so hard, and don't focus on the details so much, right? I think I kind of got that. So I was just like, okay, let's just not put too much pressure on myself, and like in day to day, or I see how it works with my IQ or my EQ, or like the whole thing, it comes alive in my everyday, in the situations with other people, where I can see how I for example experience emotions as like real turbulence, because that is the gate 36 or gene keys 36 that I have. And like, it's just such a great, honestly, it's the best personal development, if you put it in quotation, personal development tool that I've found, because it's just so super duper practical. And in it I just feel so much more centered and like grounded after going through the activation sequence now properly. And yeah, I think, yeah, that's kind of my journey with it over the last almost a year now, a few months, and then it will be a year.
Wow, thank you. Thank you for sharing that, Janik. And following the breadcrumb trails. I mean, you get into it and then you're like, oh, what's this? Let me dig into it. And it always comes whenever you're ready for it too. Like Donna was saying, she started with, I think, HD or no, gene keys. She like went deeper into gene keys and then decided later, I'll go deeper into human design now. That's kind of the route I took. I like was presented with both of them. I went into gene keys more deeply and then wove in human design later, like as I went deeper, because I only understood it at a superficial level in the beginning and then began to weave it. So cool.
So for me, I was with the knowledge, like in retrospect, you know, when they both came into my life, I had a friend who kept bringing me for my birthday just a printout, and it would say projector, and it was all this text. I would look at it, and it was like completely out of context. And I was like, "Oh, this is interesting, but." And what should I do with this? You know, like there was nothing to hang on to it. And she wouldn't say anything. She'd just hand it to me. But then now from retrospect, I know where I was I'm a 4/6 projector. And so I was at that place in my life where it's time for me to live my own wisdom. And I had studied, you know, in one of our group calls, I remember Janik said something like, I have to stop as a projector, all these ads, and Janik, you're a designer, right? Like you, and so all these products would come by, and there was a call where you were talking about it comes into your field and then you want it and you've learned to just put it down. And I was like, oh my God, I was doing that with modalities. You know? So like I have all these modalities that I've collected. So, but my soul was telling me, stop learning modalities. It's time for you to, as a 4/6, you know, being, I didn't know that's what I was experiencing, but my soul was saying, stop learning modalities. You have your own wisdom to bring into the world. Stop going and being a student and be a student of yourself. So I was in this process, and I had the gene keys kept coming and coming. It was like every person in my it was clients bringing me, actually they would text me and they'd say, I just heard about this thing and I know you need it. And then like the third or fourth time I was just like, okay, I'm not going to be a student soul. I'm going to continue listening to you, but let me just go see what this is. And so I did my profile, and the minute my eyes laid on it, I was like, this is the truth of who I am. I felt like I had the key to myself. And I immediately started, you know, like, okay, what in here? I was on the website. I'll never forget. I was on the website and I asked myself, what in here do I need? And I got Get the Gene Key book. So I got that. And then 7 Sacred Seals and acupresence. And so, you know, the soul doesn't lie. So through acupresence, so I started digging in by myself through my profile. And I watched some of Richard's videos, and I loved how he said, just kind of gaze at it and go where you are called to go. And so I did, and that unfolded. And as I have done acupuncture with the same person for almost 20 years, acupresence, when that came through, I was like, okay, there's something for me here. And then that was like in February. And then by April, I was on the Big Island. I was on the island of Oahu, and I get this random email saying there's going to be an acupresence workshop, and I was on Oahu, on Kauai, and I was like, well, I'm right here, I should go. So I contacted Alea, who I didn't know at the time, and you know, the universe conspires, right? Because it's through Alea that I got into a Delta that connected me with Bella and other people who have become immensely important to me. And as I worked with Bella through a year or 3, we're in our fourth Delta, Bella. And then she and I started working outside of our Delta, but through the Delta, what I got was working in contemplation with a group is powerful for me. So I had that experience, and then Bella was like, I think you should join our inner circle. And so I did, and it has been off the charts for me, because really the one tool without the other tool was not, it doesn't bring the full picture to me. So, you know, as I was reading the Gene Keys and contemplating on my own, yeah, I'm a 4/6 projector. I can get it. And, I've taught people how to read text critically for 30 years. I can read a text critically and get it. But there is something so special about being with a group, which is what we experience in the Delta. It's kind of similar in our inner circle. Being in this group in an organic unfolding is so completely magical. And when I've contemplated my own profile, in my silent meditation with myself, um, there were days when I think I'll never get through all 64. Because, the more I research my own, the more I contemplate my own, the more that unpacks. But one of the byproducts of being in the inner circle has been when we're doing these pragmatic ways of looking into our own charts and we're sharing our ahas, we get to hear other people who are having their ahas. And it not only brings a depth to whatever sphere we're looking into, but then we get to hear about other people. So I have 35, for instance, in my evolution sphere, but then I get to hear what other people with other gene keys have in that sphere. It makes the sphere become more meaningful to me. And then a byproduct is I'm learning about other gene keys that are not in my profile, which actually we have them all, right? But so it unlocks those parts that maybe I wouldn't focus on. And I have found our group conversations to be so powerful. It's just, such a it's an interesting thing to deep dive into yourself while simultaneously deep diving as a group, and the insights that other people have. I mean, in one of our in one of our calls, our group calls, I remember Janik talking about which sphere were we on where you gave the metaphor of the beaver when we were doing global cycles? Do you remember?
It might have been global cycles, I think.
It was global cycles, but you talked about one of your spheres, and you gave the metaphor of a beaver. I have used that. Like, that has become a touchstone for me in terms of motivation and encouragement, because I don't have to complete anything all at once if I just continue to be the beaver. And it was even more there's connections abound, right? And unlocking bounds. But like my license plate on my car is BBR 6455. So, I've always seen my car as the beaver of timelessness and what 64 is, and then freedom, So then when you said that, it's like, okay, I just have to keep, doing one thing at a time, and everything is going to come together. And so, that's the kind of rich experience that has come from doing the work with the inner circle. And I am so excited to dive into the Venus. I mean, I had actually done the activation sequence, I think 3 times alone, and I think I got more out of it. Who's to say, right? Maybe it was just, it's all in divine timing. But I'm super excited because I've gone through the Venus by myself once, and now but I didn't feel like, I was like, oh, it's going to take more than that. So this time I'm super excited to do it as a group, because I know the connections are going to abound. And then the love and support that we have when we have, like Deanna was saying, the hard truths of where, when we find, where are we out of balance? Where are we in shadow? Where are we not using our design as efficiently or effectively? To have the nurturing support and the practical support of a group as we unlock where we need support, right, is super cool. So it's been super fantastic, and I cannot express how powerful it's been to do it as a group.
Thank you, Simone. I love your storytelling. Deanna, you're 1/3, and sometimes, that's part of like, do I want to be in a group? Do I want to be alone? So I wonder, because both Dona and Simone have the 4th line and kind of said like, doing it in community, this is how it feels. But what about for you, who has a completely personal, profile? What is the difference for you to be able both to do it in a group and also knowing the way that Ashley and I are kind of, threading and finding out our own way to kind of bring through through our lens, I would say. You know, that's what has it what does it open up for you? And are there times where it's too intense maybe, or, you know, how do you go in and out from the group experience?
Oh, geez. Well, that's a learning experience for me because having the 27 in my profile, so like the selflessness or the self-sacrificing, I have a tendency to forget my own needs. And when there's so much going on, I just kind of like squirrel, like I just like jump on like whatever anyone is talking about and I dive into it. Um, so that's made it a little bit challenging for me to really go within because I've been very distracted by everything that's going on. So I've also noticed that, so my 28 being the purposelessness, I'm always trying to find my purpose. And so I'll have this like aha moment of something. And then I'm like, oh, that's my purpose because I love it. This is amazing. It's going to fix me, which is my line 3. And so then I get all in that. I'm like investigating it, discovering all these amazing things and like that deep contemplation. And I'm like, I'm going to create something out of this and it's going to be my purpose and I'm going to help people with it. And I skip myself. And so, you know, like I've talked to Ashley about this a lot, where it's like I'm so like externalized with this whole process and I'm not turning the camera inside and embodying it in myself first. And so this ends up being like this hamster wheel for me for the first couple of years, is because I'm so focused externally, I'm not actually doing the embodiment internally. So then I'm not really getting anywhere. And I continue to try to fix myself because I'm like, I'm not healing. And I keep trying to find my purpose. So that's been sort of my experience with that. So I would say for somebody who's a 1-3, if that's a specific 1-3 thing, I don't know, or if it's like specifically to my my activation sequence, it would be to go into the group, get all the information, and then just like turn your phone off, turn your computer off, set those boundaries so you really do take that time to go within to integrate it and figure out what's actually your truth. Because I'm so easily distracted with that. And then the other part of it too, having my 31, the arrogance. And I've just realized recently, I'm like, the arrogance is like, oh, like I've already shifted all this in myself. Now it's time for me to go help other people. And it's like the arrogance is having me repress everything and not actually allow it to come up. And I'm like, wow, okay, that's huge. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so arrogant. Like, I think I know everything and I can help everyone. Like, you just give me, you know, the little nuggets and then I investigate and I get to the depths of it. I learned so much of it and now I can be the master in it and I can teach anyone. But I've totally bypassed myself, but it's so repressed that I don't even know that I've actually bypassed myself. So that's been like my biggest discovery lately. So I'm like, okay, cool your jets. Stop trying to find your purpose in like taking actions and creating things, that your purpose is the being. And just really, again, turn that camera inside, take that time to be with it and allow the stuff to come up. Because even like for me in childhood, it was like, I'm an emotional manifesting generator. Like having emotions is not safe. So I repress it all. So it's like all this stuff is coming up as I'm like going through the profile and everything everybody's sharing, but it's just like, oh, I don't have time for you. Push it back down. Don't let myself feel the emotions. We got to get into creation mode. We need to create something to find our purpose. And so now I'm at this space where really catching myself when I'm feeling this, like, I don't know, like just like tension and chaos in my body and just like that stuckness, like heaviness, being like, okay, there's emotions that really, really need to come up for me and I need to be with them and ask my mind to kind of like step aside. Let's take this time. There's nothing you have to do. We need to just let this come up. And so that's been a really powerful thing for me, is to allow the repressed stuff to actually come up and have the space for it. And then the embodiment just comes in, because now you're releasing the aspects that are not self, that you've programmed yourself with, and you're able to step into your purpose of being the line 3. So.
And do you feel like you have got like being in the group, and do you feel like you have been guided there, or like we have gone there together, or did you have to like, was this something that was supported, the embodiment of the teaching? Do you feel like you have been supported in that, or do you still feel like you had to figure it out yourself? How how is that?
Well, let's just say I've probably been guided there a million times in the group, but with the line one is like you have to have that discovery in yourself. So it doesn't matter how many times both you girls have said to me, like, embody it, get out of the shadow, and all of those things. It wasn't clicking, and I had to have that like empowerment within me and being like, oh, okay, you're gonna stay exactly where you are, and you can learn all these things, but you're not gonna actually get anywhere. You're not gonna find your purpose. You're not gonna be able to help people until you actually like embody it. Mm-hmm. So yeah. So yes and yes.
Thank you.
You're
what
welcome.
About you, Janik? What's for you the group experience, and also being able to go out in the world and kind of, embodying these teachings, or more than anything, like do your experiment and actually feel like something is maybe shifting in your life? Would you share a little bit about that?
I don't know. The question is not clicking. I don't know what to say to that question.
So I'm wondering, first, yes, the group. So for you to doing it in a group, then doing it on your own. I mean, I feel like you're quite focused and you have really great questions for us in the group. And I see you as a group person because you're a 4-6. I'm wondering why you chose to kind of learn it this way, because I think that you're completely capable of kind of doing it on your own. So it's interesting to me that you're choosing to do it with us.
I think the main reason, or one of the big reasons for me, is that through the group, there are opportunities for another person to share something where I go like, oh, like that I would never have gotten, like in a way. Through the group, I open myself up for the universe to speak through other people to me. So in a way. And I also, like Deanna, I have gene key 31 in my radiant, so I could get arrogant really quickly, being like, oh, I know all this, and with being in the group, I feel like it's for me, first of all, like it's super, especially in the beginning, I was like always asking questions like, how does that work? How does this work? And like having both of your perspectives, the perspectives of the people in the group, like it was just more in depth and quicker to learn, because I could ask someone who had really experience with it and not have to watch like a million YouTube videos to get it. But now it's really, in a way, also about me sharing like what feels really good, but also having all these conversations, and also then again and again seeing how many layers there are to all of it, where constantly I'm like in a way humiliated and going back into, whoa, okay, you haven't really gotten how that whole thing works, like, yeah, you have an understanding, but there's like hearing it from different perspectives, different experiences. It's just so many times it's been just like bringing me back to humility and being like, okay, that's like, there's a lot of richness to it. And then the conversations we have, then all the topics the two of you pick, like it's like the line, like back in the days, the line course all about the lines was super interesting. And then global cycles we've just been through, like what is like the big perspective, it's just like super interesting. And you guys kind of pick all the topics that are super interesting. And yeah, it's just, I just feel it's the one space in my life where I can actually talk about this, like because I'm not, like everyone around me like doesn't really know about it, and interestingly enough, when I bring it up to other people, it's never really clicking, you know? So I'm in a way, I feel like I have to maybe like, you know, be on that journey more, especially only for my mom. I brought it to my mom, and for my mom, Gene Keys totally clicked. And it's amazing because I spend a lot of time with her right now, to really see the dynamics play out. And, you know, with the group, what is also great is when I experience something like that, I can then go and be like, hey, I experienced this and that. Like, how did that work together? You know? Yeah, it's just better to do it together in a way.
Mm-hmm. Donna, I feel like you were going to say something, or is that just you're muted still?
Thanks for sharing that, Janik, too. I
Yeah.
appreciate what you say and resonate with that. Super grateful. Remember a while back before Donna goes into it when we said it's worth it to be human, and then it's worth it to do it together. Yes.
That's so funny, Bella. There's times where you know I'm going to say something and I don't know what I'm doing, but you could read my frequency. First of all, Simone, you say things sometimes, I have to write them down. They're just amazing. I was also this modality seeker. And so you said, stop just being a student, be a student of yourself. So I loved when I found the Gene Keys. It felt like, oh, this modality I just love. But like Deanna, I was so intoxicated with it that I was doing other people's charts, learning a lot on my own, but feeling very intoxicated, having maybe that, I have Gene Key 31, that arrogance of, oh, look, I know something like I can help you with. Again, coming to the inner circle, I was still spinning. What is this? What is this? The inner circle has slowed my spinning down, and now I can really focus and embody my own gene keys and do this self-study group I love. So that's what's helped me for sure, is this the spinning has stopped. I've slowed down. I still help other people, but I'm more focused on me. This whole being a student of yourself. What a great quote, Simone. Thank you for that.
I just want to piggyback on that really quickly. With the slowing down, this has been so important for me. This that there's a structure to it. Like, I would have never focused on my activation sequence as much if we hadn't like gone through it as a group. I would have been like, I'm picking all of it and I'm reading here and this and there. But and then also, it's a through the call being once a week, it's built into my week. Like, every Thursday evening for me in my time zone, it's blocked. And even if I'm not reading any Gene Key things during the week, which I'm always do, but even if I wouldn't, I always have this call that gives me once a week new input, new things to learn, and new things to contemplate. And having that structure is really important, I find, on my journey.
Thank you for sharing that, Janik. I love
Yeah.
that you guys are resonating with that. Oh, do you resonate too, Simone?
Yeah, I want to, because listening to Yannick, it triggered me in that I had done the activation sequence once by myself, and then I did it with the game of Akash, which was fabulous. And I really, it was like a semi engagement, because there's an interface. And so then coming into the inner circle with an interactive group just made it so much richer. And like Yannick, if I have a, if I agree to do something, I will show up. I will be ready, and I will be completely present and focused in that moment. And it's, if I'm doing it on my own, yeah, I'll show up and I'll be ready, but maybe not every Thursday, at whatever on the time zone. And so it does motivate me to, to stay focused, even though, my trail is more meandering when I'm by myself. I feel like this, the collective and being present for each other has really been a big motivator for me too. Mm-hmm. And I also like the pace. When Janik said, every Thursday, I was like, yeah, and it's not too fast. We take it in bite-sized pieces that are not overwhelming. I've never felt like I can't keep up. I've had this real softness to the pace of how we progressed. Yeah, it's been super sweet.
Thank you. And I guess it helps by having one of the facilitators be a sphinx, since she's got all this direction in her. She can kind of guide us, because I will be a meanderer too. And it's kind of like when we can come together and innovate on certain things, like, oh yeah, that excites me. And Bella's like, this is where we're going, Okay, I'll follow that track, that railroad, and let's create something in here, And it's real.
But that's the cool thing, Ashley.
Yeah.
Like that's why, for us, this is also a partnership. Like this, I mean, I can really say from my heart, this is the best partnership I've ever been in. And we could speak about it in design, because when you have the Cross of the Sphinx that has direction, but also we have Ashley with the 10 and the 15 and all the gates of the vessel of love. There is so much creativity, there is so much magnetism there. It's so much fun to do it together. So that's also why, it's really because we can feel the genius of our designs and actually learn how to share it as well. So that's what makes it fun. And I feel like if there's any kind of role modeling in that, and that's why I want to, I'm asking you kind of a specific question, Deanna, that is like your profile. And I feel like we are learning to look at the projectors, like, okay, we have to remember to invite the projectors to speak. And, when people are energy beings, yeah, I can feel Dona. Like this is so much for me. It's really to get it down from the mind and like to see the cues that are in the energy, that are in the body. That's for me, that's why I want to do it in a group, because then it's really about being in the energy of it much more than to being in a theory of it.
Yeah. I love our group so much. And I went to school to be a teacher, and I learned how the methods, pedagogy of teaching and what's best for kids. And then I came in and started teaching this, and it felt really good to do that. And now I'm learning, wow, in looking at everybody's human design type and actually knowing them, and not just having these people in the group that I don't remember their designs from. There's certain people who I've had like way more closer connections to, so I remember their design. We know how to teach to different people's design, and know, yeah, Deanna does need to go and have that epiphany alone. It means nothing about us that it doesn't click. That's because she's here on a trajectory of self-empowerment. So we're not going to take it offensively, like, oh, we can't, like, we're not reaching Deanna. We're not supposed to reach Deanna. We're just supposed to like tap on the glass a little bit and be like, hey, and I don't know, so many times recently I've been like crying in the group just because I feel so close to everybody, and I just really love the energy that's created, and I appreciate people on an individual level, and what we unlock in each other is just awesome. So
And every other teachers, like, I mean, Janik's beaver story, is anybody of us ever going to forget the beaver story?
no.
No. And so that's the cool thing too. That's the beautiful thing. I mean, for me, everything is about leadership and direction, I guess. And to be in a group of role models, that's why, I mean, we did kind of reach out to you, because for us, you are role modeling in the group, all of you, in very different ways. And that's the beautiful thing, because it doesn't get boring, because that the leadership that you are all, like the self-leadership you're stepping into, that then is like, kind of coming through in the group, it's just amazing. And I feel like I see each one of you grow every time, all the, like, when I see the trajectory, it just makes me so happy. And I see often in the group that it comes in from a hunger of understanding and learning, and that it turns into really a role modeling of something that is so much beyond whatever you could call human design or gene keys, or whatever you want to call it. And that's what makes me want to continue. That's what makes me want to, like, also excel more in that, make that kind of, make it more easy to tune into that, to not have to struggle so much in the beginning either. And also that I feel like there are no levels. It doesn't matter if you are very new or if you're very advanced, and I also see in you, Dona, like when you came in, or when did your reading, I had no idea, like, how much do you know, how much do you not know? But I know after having looked at the connection chart from that you were showing us, I know that you know so much, and that to have you in the group is really an asset.
You know, something you just said, Bella, about how we look at how we interact, and we're learning about the energy in a real organic way. Before, when I first started studying, I was really focused on my own chart. And through the group, I've started to understand, oh, well, when I'm as a 4/6 projector, oh, so when I'm with my, 3/5 manifesting generator child, that's what's going on, and so I've started moving beyond just, my own internal contemplation to contemplating how I engage in the world with other people, with other designs. And it really, once it's like the aha, it really helps me to be in a place of inquiry and aha, and it really shifts you out of judgment when you don't have to, wonder. It's like, oh, that's why that is. Oh, that's so interesting. I find myself softening so much and finding the lightheartedness in it when, oh, we're just both in our own design, or so it's great. So that's been a really fabulous byproduct that I didn't even imagine, when I came into the group.
Thank you, Simone. Yeah, I feel like we're almost going towards the end of this. I just want to ask a quick question of like where we're going. So we have been in the Venus sequence. We have done a little bit, we have done some embodiment work. We have done the global cycles. We've kind of looked, inwards and outwards. And now we have decided to go into the gene key profile and look at the Venus. And this is really the wholeness journey, like we call it. It's like really reclaiming all the parts of you so that the mental, the emotional, the physical, and the spiritual can be together. And I'm curious if there is, in the group, if you have like, what's your longing for this? Like, or do you have one thing that, this is my intention for the Venus? I would kind of just love to hear that, because that can make us, as Ashley and I are putting together and kind of fine tuning the program, if we hear some of your intentions, we might, be able also to bring them in as we are laying out the foundation for the course.
I had a question. Someone mentioned that to me recently, when you do your Venus sequence, make sure you look at the programming partners. Well, that's double your, that's 12 instead of 6. And she said it made all the difference in the world to her. So maybe you can touch upon that when we get into it. But that was interesting to me. We don't really talk about programming partners all the time.
I mean, we have Melinda, who was in the group last year helping us, and she was always speaking about deprogramming partners, and I love the way that she was speaking of them. I absolutely feel, I mean, this is back to astrology. This is the opposition in the Rave Mandala. So of course they are going to tell us about how the dynamics of the patterns, whether they're shadow patterns or higher patterns. So absolutely, that's something that can absolutely help. I wouldn't say that you can unlock each key just by looking at the programming partner, because often they are kind of like two bulls doing this. But absolutely, I already made a note in how we can, remind ourselves that a place to go. I mean, for me, I have my IQ and my EQ 45 and 25 and 46. They are already programming partners. So, in my case, I can't even go into my own chart exactly there and see. And then my purpose and they are harmonic gates. I would say my purpose and my attraction are 7 and 31. But they're amazing geometries. And I feel like I wouldn't say that the programming partners is a bigger geometry than something else. But as we look at the chart, and this is something we're going to do in the Venus too, we're kind of going to be able to be in smaller groups or bring up a chart and be like, what pops out for you? This is where I like, where's the intuitive hit when you look at this chart? And that's something that I feel we're all going to have different intuitive hits, and that I want to do. And maybe the intuitive hit when we look at something is like, oh no, look here. If you bring in the 59, that 55 is just going to, explode or whatever, So absolutely. Thank you for bringing that in. and I want to contemplate how to include them in a way that brings more understanding.
Yes, great, thank you.
Any other intention or question, or yeah, Janik?
So I'm totally open to what's going to come, but there are two things that I feel like I'm really excited about. The first thing is that I feel the Venus sequence is all about, and correct me if I'm wrong, is all about coming back to the heart, like coming into your heart, coming like really, really centering in your heart, opening your heart to the world and to yourself and everyone. And I've had so many experiences lately where I always, again and again, I realized when my heart's not open, like I can do the most amazing stuff, ride a balloon, do this, and it's just doesn't do anything. But when my heart is open, like I can just like sit on my couch, do nothing, and I have like the best time. Or I can do something with someone and it's so enriching and it's so amazing. So I I really realized for myself that it's just for me to enjoy life and to have like a great time. Like that's like the thing for me to open my heart, to soften, and to really be able to like, for example, like I'll give an example, like over the last few weeks, sometimes I had like this FOMO of, oh, I have to live the summer more, I have to do more, I have to have more experiences. And then I realized that this is really only like a longing inside my heart for more openness, more enriching. And that really is an internal thing first, not an external thing. Like it can be triggered through an external thing, but if I have the state with me, then I can have a vacation or an enriching experience doing the dishes, like, and it's literally like that. And I've experienced that. So I'm really, really excited to dive into the Venus sequence, to open my heart more and to have it stay open more and like deeper and all of that.
Mm.
Because I just feel like life gets like so like exponentially better with it. And the other thing is about intimacy and about intimacy with oneself. I do feel like especially through what's happening with COVID and, a lot of us being more isolated or more with ourselves. For me, that has really given me the opportunity to become really intimate with myself. And I feel that in the interactions with other people in real life that I then have, how rich that intimacy within myself is, that I've cultivated and that I'm excited to cultivate even more. And I'm sometimes kind of what's the word? Like kind of not satisfied with the intimacy that I then get in like my relationships in the real world, because I just have this depth and this like the I just feel like I can hug myself like so well that it's just so nourishing, and so it just feels amazing to be so intimate with myself. And I feel like the Venus sequence is going to deepen that even more, and then also open even like my heart. And I just feel like this is leading to a life where, like we talked about, role modeling, where I can really walk the talk and and be it first before I start doing anything with it. um and yeah, and I feel like the more intimate we become with ourselves, the more intimate we can be with others. And that going first is yeah, it's really important. And I feel like, truly feel like the Gene Key is the best resource for it, and doing it in a group for me is super exciting.
Thank you, Janik. I agree with you with all that. And like we learned with the relationship series that we did, I think everybody needs to come to the place of being empowered by themselves before they can feel empowered and fulfilled in a relationship. You're at like this crux point where how much more can I open my heart to myself? How much more can I be intimate with myself and love myself? And like from that place of exponential acceptance, you get to then experience someone meeting you, because that's what you're going to attract to you, is somebody who's at that same level. So asking the question like, who, that's who's ready for me. So that's really cool to hear you say that, because that's the point that all of us want to be at.
And I
And
just
I
like, oh no, go first. Go first.
and I also feel like the more I soften and the more I get to know myself, the more I can actually see the other person for who or she or he is, instead of like having this very narrow thing, really open up and be like, well, let's take some time before I judge, or as a projector, be like, I know how you work, um, like, yeah, that has been really big for me as well, to kind of like soften to really getting to know other people as who they are.
I love how this goes together, what you were saying about the fourth line and breaking out of anxiety, which coming back to the heart. And I hear a lot of like that fourth line wisdom. And I think you have the 28 in your, is it your life's work or your evolution? So that's like, there is no purpose. If you are not in your heart, your life, even a balloon, journey has less purpose. So it's like so much like you're speaking your design. And then I'm even hearing you speak about role modeling and nurturing, which is the sixth line. And you're saying, I don't want to be like lost in fantasy of how intimacy could be. I want to open to it. So it's just so cool to hear you speak your design and to long to unlock. That's what we are about, unlocking that design even more so that you can feel it in yourself and then decide to share it. So, I mean, I just love to listen and hear how a specific design can really come out through the storytelling of a person. Yeah.
My intention for the Venus sequence is to really, really lock in that empowerment so that I can stop being a loner. Because I'd say probably in the last like 5 years, I've closed my heart more and more and more and just like disconnected from like everyone in my life. Not fully, like when I see people, I can just feel like this wall up between me and them. And I know that it's connected from me not feeling empowered in myself. That it's like I need to have like my defenses up all the time, which is actually my inner masculine, which is the six, so like that conflict. And so I'm just feeling that on such a deep level, and just like I feel like I'm not living a life when I'm not connecting with people. And for so long, I think because I was so hurt, I was just like, let me just go in my cave because it's safer here and I don't need to open my heart. And now it's just like you're not connecting with anyone like on like a really deep level. So like what's the point of living if you're not having these interactions where your heart is open with people? So I'm really, really ready to take that wall down, soften the heart, and like actually allow people in and stop wearing my mask, like the 31 mask, and just being like, oh, I know it all. I'm good, And it's time to just be like, no, like I want people in my life. Like I want support, I want connection, I want community. And I'm really excited like to open myself more even into the inner community, because I feel like I've still had like a mask on with that as well. So I think working with all you is just going to be so incredible for me now that I've had this like realization that like it's okay to, put your guard down. It's okay to open your heart, and when you're fully empowered in yourself, like you can't get hurt. And it's like I've got me, so it's okay for me to open my heart and allow other people in. So that's my intention. Take that wall down and start like connecting again, because I was like such a social person like in probably like my 20s and my early 30s, and it's just like it just shut the world off at one point in my life, and it just got like more and more. So I'm excited.
We're excited to do it with you too, and to see you
Yeah.
step into that role as well, and in the inner circle and in the Venus as well, because that group's a little bit different too. We have the inner circle, and then we have the Venus immersion, which is a quite larger group. But I really, really, really appreciate the intimacy in the small group that we have in the inner circle, and what kind of transpires and how comfortable you all have gotten in that group, stepping up into sharing yourself, sharing your heart, and sharing your own wisdom, knowing that like we're here facilitating the journey, but you guys have things that we didn't even think about. And we keep bringing up Janik's beaver thing, but like that really stuck. I was like, that clicks so much for everything. My 16 programming partner of the 9 needed to hear that because it wanted to do things all by itself, but you need the programming partner. So this is a journey into relationships, and why wouldn't you look at the programming partner? Who is it dancing with? Who's it's in its opposition? What's its opposite? That's its partner. It's a programming partner. So to go into the Venus and to look at both of those is going to allow you to accept, different ends of the coin. Be like, oh.
And I have a lot of like line 4s, like my core and my EQ, and then my culture. So it's just like, okay, it's all about that heart space and the connecting and the community. So it's time.
Yeah. Simone, what about you? You are going to be part of it. I mean, you are like a joker, you are part of the team, and you're doing work with us. And now it feels like the group can't exist without you. So
I don't know if I can exist without the group. It's been so fantastic. It's the favorite part. My favorite part of the week is being with the inner circle and doing this work. And so I really love it. It's been fantastic to co-create with everyone, and I'm kind of guided to talk about the sound healings that have been coming through for the group, because that's what's in my awareness right now. So that's been super cool, and I feel like it's opened me up, and it feels like it's opening up the group and individuals through the electromagnetics and the sound healing that is coming through in those activations. So it's been super exciting to do that and to be a part of it. So I'm just as a 4/6 projector, I am so grateful for the invitation, because that has opened, the door for all of this to come through. And personally, I'm looking forward to doing the Venus with the group, because all of our lives, it's a journey of self-love, right? And that's what the Venus sequence is. It's a journey into loving yourself. And like Janik was saying, the more you love yourself, the more you're in that state of love, the more love you're going to experience, no matter whether you're washing the dishes or riding in a balloon or being in a group. And so I'm looking forward to that next leveling up for myself through this whole process, and then to do it with a group, it feels so exponential. Like the opportunity, the expansion is exponential when we're doing it as a group. So thank you for the invitation, and I love being here with you guys.
Yeah, and Simone, you're helping us to take it beyond words and beyond even emotions. And that's the energy work. And that's so important, especially when we go into the core and the heart opening and the SQ. So it's really taking it beyond even understanding. And I feel like I just did a live with Capucine right before about the 4th gene key. And I feel like kind of that's where we're ending with the sun and the transit. It's like, how can we be together beyond understanding and feel like, we are together. So yeah, I'm super excited too. And for me, part of what I'm looking at is how can we be together without losing the intimacy, even in a group? How can we keep the intimacy even when we are including more? Because I'm sure that it's possible, if in spiral dynamics, it's possible to always include more and not lose the first circle. I'm sure that we can do it too. And thank you for being part of my team, you know, of helping me thread with more wisdom, with more love, with more experience. Yeah.
Thank you everybody for saying yes to coming on and chatting about this and your experience, because we love to hear what it's like through your perspective. And like Donna was saying earlier about, oh, what about the programming partners and this and that? I feel like there's infinite amounts of lenses to look at life through, and to look at the gene keys through, to look at yourself through. And it's really cool to be able to turn that gem and see, oh, and look at it through this side and this side and this side. And it's just so cool. And then eventually we realize, wow, it's just the same. They're all the same gem. Like we can come into that understanding that, oh, it's all the same. It's all united. And I am excited for the day that we all don't use gene keys or human design at all. We're just like, I know myself so intimately. I don't need these systems. I don't need this. That's when we know we've arrived at our heart, and our heart's like, I need no understanding. And the mind's like, okay, you're in charge. You know, it's so cool. And I'm so grateful you guys came on, and I love what you shared, and I'm excited to jump into this with you. So thank you.
Thank you.
And thanks everyone for watching.
But before we sign off, can you just give us a reminder when, where, how, you know, just recap the details, so if people are just seeing this video.
The Venus, thanks for reminding. The Venus sequence begins on the 20th of August this month. It's next Thursday. We have the meetings on Thursdays at noon Pacific time and 3 p.m. Eastern time every week. We're going to first take the first 2 weeks to jump into it, get an overview, have this opening ceremony, and then we're going to move into each of the spheres. So we're going to give 2 weeks dedicated focus towards each sphere, have a teaching, have an expert. We also will include Simone that will in it as well. We'll give you more details on that later, but she's going to bring more of her sound healing into this as well. And right now the price for the program is $333 for the 4 months with us together. That's going to have its own Facebook group. We're also going to have all the things loaded into a learning platform, so that you're not learning it through Facebook. You can actually have that focused, dedicated attention on a platform that's not going to give you notifications and messages that pop up. It's like you guys are going to be able to focus on what you need to, because it's all about commitment here. So thank you so much for Simone, Donna, Deanna, and Janik for your commitment to the group and to the program, and most importantly to yourself and your heart. So thank you everyone.